All right, welcome everybody. Good evening. Welcome families. Welcome to UC Santa Cruz and the Banana Slug family. We are so happy to have you join UCSC and be part of our campus community. And we are really excited to have you here this evening. Um, so the panelists that you're going to meet tonight all work in student affairs on campus. And what that means is we've dedicated our lives and careers to supporting your students in most of what they do on campus, outside of the classroom, and sometimes in. I can tell you that this is the most exciting time of year for us, given what we do. When students come to campus for the first time or return to campus, there's just a buzz on campus you can't replicate. And we're so excited to meet all the new students and to welcome back, welcome home, returning students. Uh, Tonight, we're here to talk about student involvement, and we're excited to share opportunities and wisdom that we have with you about ways that your students can get involved during their time as college students at UCSC. And before we do that, and before I say a little bit more about that, I wanted to say something about your students. Um, I already know lots about all of your students even before having met them. And I know that because they decided to come to UC Santa Cruz, and perhaps I'm extraordinarily biased, but what I have found in my time here as the Associate Vice Chancellor and Dean of Students is that your students are pure magic. They are students who choose to come to UC Santa Cruz are interested in finding out all about the world and wrestling with the complexities of all that's going on in our world right now, and are impatient to make the world a better place. Um, Let me pause for a second. I recognize that I didn't even introduce myself. Um, my name is Garrett Naiman, and I have the honor and pleasure of serving as the Associate Vice Chancellor and your student's Dean of Students here at UCSC. And what that means is I get to spend every day working on supporting students and getting to know them in all the ways that as they navigate their time at UCSC. So as I was saying, UCSC students are curious, they're impatient to make the world a better place, and we see them get involved in so many different ways to improve the campus, to improve the world, and to have fun, get to know each other, and learn both in and outside of the classroom. Um, right off the bat, I wanted to share with you before we get deeper into the presentation some ways right away that students can get involved upon arriving. As you all know, move-in is coming up, and students are going to be moving into the residence halls and coming onto campus. And like I said, the campus will be coming alive. Some important ways to get involved right away that I wanted to share. So there's move-in, which is between September 18th and 21st. And then at the tail end of move-in, there's an opportunity for you all as families to be part of a really special new event called Family Send-Off Lunch. And I'm told that spots are filling up quick for that, but there are spots left. And we're going to put some information in the chat so that you can find out more about the family send-off lunch. But that'll be a really nice opportunity for families to meet other families and have an opportunity to send your students off in style and have some time to build community amongst yourselves. Then my favorite event of the year is what's called Cornucopia. And Cornucopia is really exciting. It happens on September 22nd. And I would encourage you to speak to your students and tell them to go out there. We don't have another event quite like this all year. And it's a time where just about every student and student organization and tons of resources that the university provides to students are out on what's called East Field, overlooking the ocean, and with tents and tables. And students can walk around a festival-like atmosphere and walk up to each of these tents, learn about different student organizations, learn how to get involved, sign up to get involved right there. And they can learn about all the resources that are available to them. Myself and my team will be out there walking around trying to meet as many students as we can. It's a really, really exciting time. If you're going to remind your students to do one thing, tell them to go to Cornucopia. Also, a really exciting program that we do is the class picture. So we bring all our new students together on September 23rd. We usually get them in a formation with some kind of cool design, like saying UCSC or slugs, and take photos of them in formation. And they can look back with fondness to know that they were in that class photo, and this was the moment they started their time together as a class that will be moving together through their time at UCSC. Uh, they also received their class shirt at that event, which is really cool. And actually, I see students a couple days before graduation still wearing their shirts that they got on this first week of school, this welcome week at the class picture. So they'll get a free t-shirt at that event as well. Another really, really exciting event that you might want to plug to them is called the Boardwalk Frolic, and that happens on September 26th. This is quintessentially UCSC and quintessentially Santa Cruz. It's where students are invited to go down to the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk, where there are rides and food and activities and games. And there's this really fun atmosphere out in a really unique environment that's very Santa Cruz. And students are getting to know each other. They might come with a couple of students they just met and meet other students there. Again, my team is out there walking around. It's a really fun event to see students smiling and laughing and having a wonderful time and starting to get to know each other. And that's on September 26th. More information is in the chat about that as well. And then finally, not for students exclusively, but actually with a focus on families, which we're trying to do more and more of. There's Family Weekend that will be coming up in a couple months on November 7th through the 9th. And this is a chance for you all to come back and see your students again in this environment, maybe for the first time since you've dropped them at move-in, and watch and see probably how much more comfortable they are here after a couple months of starting to find their way. All of this together is really intentional. What we call this sort of first 6 weeks from the time that students arrive at move-in to the time that they meet you back at Family Weekend on campus, we call this Slug Start. It's just a really important time, the first 6 weeks of this kind of transition, this kind of milestone of coming to college. And we know that. And we know that students will be looking to find ways to feel a sense of belonging and a sense of mattering. And we pour into that with what we call Slug Start. Move-in is the first part of that, then Welcome Week, then ongoing programming that they'll receive both with campus-wide events and a lot of programming that happens in the residence halls. And then finally, Family Weekend. That's the arc of Slug Start that we're really excited about meeting students and getting them, more importantly, to meet each other. So you can tell I'm really excited about this time of year. Already I'm trying to share with you ways that students can get involved and you all, and have much more exciting news to share with you and information about getting involved today in our presentation. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Associate Dean of Students Travis Becker. But let me say one more time to you, welcome to UC Santa Cruz. Welcome to your students. We can't wait to meet them and see them get involved in all that there is to do here at UC Santa Cruz.
Thanks so much, Garrett, for the warm welcome. Again, everyone, it's my pleasure to be here with you today. My name is Travis Becker. I serve as the Associate Dean of Students for Leadership and Engagement. And we're so excited about welcoming you and your students to campus very soon. As Garrett mentioned, we have a lot of really exciting activities coming up for Welcome Week and for Family Weekend. All of these are wonderful opportunities for students and families to connect, and so we're looking forward to seeing you soon. So I'm going to briefly go over some programs and services that are offered that help to engage students, support students, make students find their home, help students find their home at UC Santa Cruz. And then I'm actually going to turn it over to some of our campus experts on student engagement. So there are 6 resource centers at UC Santa Cruz, including the Women's Center, the Lionel Cantu Queer Resource Center, the African American Resource and Cultural Center, El Centro for Latinx and Chicanx students, the Asian American and Pacific Islander Resource Center, and the American Indian Resource Center. Their programs at these centers are open to all students, and they're wonderful ways to engage with the campus community. There's also student support services, which include EOP, undocumented student services, and the STARS office, which supports transfer, reentry, military affiliated, and veteran students, and other non-traditional students. We also have our Student Volunteer Center, which connects Banana Slugs with meaningful service and community engagement opportunities, both on campus as well as off campus. I have the privilege and honor of serving as one of the advisors to the Student Union Assembly, or the SUA, which is our undergraduate student government, advocating for student voices and leading campus initiatives. Each of the 10 colleges at UC Santa Cruz also has their own college student government or their own college council. So those are 10 different leadership opportunities within each of the 10 colleges for students to get involved at their local college level. There's KZSE, which is our student-run and student-initiated radio station, which gives students hands-on media and broadcasting experience. And then, of course, we have athletics and recreation. So this is for our NCAA athletes, club sports, intramurals, and lots of different ways for students to participate in recreation and have that as a part of their overall wellness plan, and to keep students active and balanced while they're here studying at UC Santa Cruz. So all of these programs help students find their belonging, build leadership skills, and make the most of their UCSC experience. So highly encourage all of you to encourage the students that you support to check out any or all of these. One unit that brings so much of this together and does so much work to support students and does deep, deep, deep and incredible and impactful student engagement work is SOMECA, which stands for Student Organizations, Student Media, Cultural Arts, and Diversity. SOMECA supports over 150 student organizations, student media, and cultural arts programs, and they'll share a little bit more with you now about how your student can get involved. So it is my pleasure to turn over to SOMECA to highlight the incredible opportunities that they provide. And it's been nice getting to see all of you today, and thank you so much for being here and making the time.
Oh, thanks, Travis. And we also want to thank the rest of our campus partners for inviting us to this webinar on how to get more involved on campus. We're really excited to share with you all about the SOMECA office, which consists of several offices that work closely with student organizations and student leaders at UCSC. But I also want to introduce our team from SOMECA here today to share with you all. So as folks are hopping on the video and camera and whatnot. But I am Arlen Mendiola. I am the senior program manager over at the source side of SOMECA. And I work closely with about over 30 different student organizations, ranging from academic, cultural, political, to even our Greek life. And I'll pass it off to Jordi.
Yes, hello everybody. My name is Jordi Gongora. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I'm another staff member in SOMECA. I am one of the program organizers and advisors working with one of our centers, Engaging Education, which I'll share a little bit more about later. But they do a lot of engagement with students around outreach and retention services, as well as building on the leadership of others. And I'll pass it on to my other colleague, Nelson.
Yes, thank you, Yordi. My name is Nelson Ramirez, he, him, his pronouns. I'm also a program manager, much like Arlen, working with 30 organizations, ranging from a variety of different interests that they have with the organizations that they lead on campus. And yeah, I'll pass it on to Stephanie.
Hello, everyone. My name is Stephanie Mancia. My pronouns are she, her, and I serve as program manager for EnviralSUG, which is an environmental organization on campus dedicated to sustainability and environmental justice. I'll pass it back to Arlen.
Thanks, y'all. So SOMECA. So student organizations at SOMECA are truly exceptional. They are communities where students realize their ability to shape the world that they want to live in today. Through organizing, they transform the campus and influence the student experience. At SOMECA, we empower everyone to have agency, so being able to engage actively in the world. When all of us have agency, we're able to imagine even more what's possible and come up with innovative solutions to challenges that we face every day. Embracing all voices, even in disagreement, fosters inclusivity as we collaborate towards that greater good to a shared purpose. We have a video that we want to share with you all that helps convey what our students, staff, and alumni have taken away from their experience being involved in SOMECA and with student organizations.
Why are the skills and values learned in SOMECA important in the current national climate?
I mean, I think the answer to that question is obvious. If I knew for a fact that like this is how America would be forever, like it would be for sure time to leave, right? The only reason that I don't want to leave right now is because I know that I have the skills to help combat that. And everyone else in this organization feels exactly the same way, which is why they're still here doing those things, right? So I probably would not be able to do that if I hadn't been in SOMECA, so.
And SOMECA helps you understand without even telling you. So SOMECA helps you understand how to make decisions for the world that you want to live in. When I was here, we imagined the world that we wanted to live in. We created the democracy that we wanted to see. We created our own bylaws, our own constitution. We managed our own budgets. We put together our own programs. We used our own language. We used our own community agreements. We used our own culture when we wanted to create programs. And America doesn't welcome that everywhere that you go. So Mecca and SOAR taught me how to hold on to my values of what I want to see in the world, and it doesn't include any of this. It's actually bigger and better than that.
Almost everything I've learned in college I attribute to SOMECA. Learning how to be an effective communicator, an effective organizer, backwards timelining, like budgeting. Budgeting's huge.
It is important that students have the ability to shape their education, and I think that UC Santa Cruz, particularly with SOMECA and student organizations, has provided the opportunity for us as administrators to figure out how to do that alongside our communities and our students.
SOMECA really teaches you to reach out to people. A lot of the people that I have met that have like put me in these spaces to go to these wonderful workshops and things, they all come from SOMECA, and they all really want you to really be engaged with your education. And SOMECA really taught me how to just be a helping hand wherever I'm needed. And that's why it's really, I really love SOMECA. I really do.
So, as you've seen, some of our testimonies from our alumni and students and staff will further break down the different areas within SOMECA. So I'll actually pass off to Jordy and Steph, who will go through the different areas.
Yes, thank you. So breaking down to
Why are the skills and
Oh, good. Thank you. Breaking down the SO in SOMECA. So the SO stands for Student Organization Advising and Resources, which we also know as SOAR. SOAR was founded over 35 years ago as an innovative student activities office, one where students initiate and run programs, as you heard in the video, where students have leadership and decision-making power. It's a place where students learn through hands-on, real-life responsibilities. SOAR is the hub on campus where students come together to build community across a variety of interests and experiences, from academic, Greek life, social, service, professional, cultural, and political student organizations. We now have alumni that have built on the experience that they have gotten in SOMECA through their professional achievements. You got to hear from a few of them through the video earlier, and we wanted to share a few of the other careers our alumni have gone into, include Vice President of Salesforce, Attorney Investigator for the Office of Legislative Counsel for the State of California, Senior Campaign Leads for unions, Scientist with Roche Molecular Systems, and Director for the Los Angeles Alliance for a New Economy. So we do really highly encourage you to share more with your students, and they can find our office, the SOAR office, at the Student Union building at the Quarry Plaza. This building is also a space for students to meet, study, and get to know each other, and we welcome everyone to the Student Union. And now we will go to learn about some other areas in SOMECA, passing it on to Steph.
Yes. So Envralslag is environmental and sustainability branch of SOMECA, founded in early 2002. It unites 3 student organizations, each dedicated to tackling the climate crisis and advancing sustainability through education, campaigns, and student-led events that promote environmental justice and inspire meaningful change on campus and beyond. Envralslag is housed at Rachel Carson College, where they organize a UCSC accredited student-led course, which is facilitated by our students during the spring quarter to learn the skills needed to transition towards a society that prioritizes the planet and its people. All right, back to you, Jordy.
Thank you. So another area in SOMECA is Engaging Education, which is also shortened to E-Squared. And this is our student-run and student-led center founded in 2003. Their mission is to empower all students to be active participants and leaders in their community through educational attainment for all. They do this through peer-to-peer student-initiated outreach and retention programming developed by a student board of directors. Their work serves to recruit students from K-12 and community colleges to be able to go to higher education. E-Square programs have been successful because those most impacted have a voice on the decisions to change things on this campus. That is why they have their slogan, "Students should lead the way, not just pay and obey." And we want to highlight that one of their yearly programs is their large-scale guest speaker series, Changemakers. This last year, they hosted renowned educator, author, and leader Dr. Eddie Glaude Jr., giving student leaders an opportunity to also meet with him separately to have dialogue and discussion on the type of leadership needed in our society. And you can find E Squared Center located above the Redwood Lounge in the Quarry Plaza. And going back to Stephanie to share a couple more in Semeca.
So the M&E in Semeca stands for Student Media. This is a pillar of Semeca where students and organizations are dedicated to producing print and broadcast media. We have the longest running student-led newspaper like City on the Hill Press, a premier satirical publication, Fish Rap Live, the oldest student-run magazine, Twanas, and a student-run filmmaking organization like the Film Production Coalition. The Student Media Press Center is located at the ARC Center and offers students the chance to explore, discover, and share local and global issues through diverse print and broadcast outlets. Working alongside staff advisors, students receive guidance through the production process while engaging in meaningful conversations to ensure their work reflects their values and experiences. The center's mission is carried out by encouraging critical thinking about the environment students operate in and by equipping them with the tools and agency to create impactful media dialogues about that environment. Back to Jordy.
Thank you. And as you see from the images, the next section is Semeca. The CA stands for Cultural Arts and Diversity, shortened to CAD, home to our Rainbow Theater and African American Theater Arts Troupe. Like Soren Student Media, CAD is run on the student agency model, meaning their programs are decided upon by an all-student board of directors as well. Because student voices and leadership are incredibly valued at CAD, they are able to produce many outstanding shows written by students showcasing their own experiences. Founded in 1991, one of the unique elements of CAD is that they also house the only African American theater arts troupe in the UC system, ensuring that every community has a voice and program to tell their stories through theater. CAD builds on this by organizing a yearly tour where they travel to various high schools and community colleges to offer empowering theater performances in an effort to connect a wider student audience to the power of acting and storytelling. This last year, CAD's productions sold out shows throughout the year at the campus main stage. And you can find the CAD office at the Stevenson College. And I'll pass it on to Nelson.
Thank you, Yordi. Well, now that we've shared a bit about who we are as Semeca and the work that we do, we also want to showcase some data about the work that students put in on campus. So just this last year, we had a total of 179 student-run organizations register with our office. And as you see on screen, that showcases the different types and categories that organizations fall under. 29 are based around academics, 43 have a focus on culture and identity. We have 20 Greek letter chapters, 10 print, and just a variety of organizations that students can get involved with. And if a student finds that none of the 179 organizations suit their needs, they could also look into starting a whole new organization with our office. Well, despite all these organizations, a common misbelief we have is that students miss out if students miss out on a cornucopia, they won't be able to join a community or an organization. However, from all those organizations that I just mentioned, a total of 2,643 events were held on campus last year, with a total of 102,974 attendees. So that should give you a good idea of just how active our students are on this campus, and that there are various opportunities to connect with leadership and the communities at any point in the year. Moving forward, the number of registered organizations that we have and the events that we've hosted are only achievable when we have a committed and skilled leadership. Semeca student leaders collectively spent 5,844 hours training and developing professional and leadership skills, further expanding their learning experiences while on campus. And those same skills and experiences that they learn from leading their organizations and being involved are also transferable to their future careers. And with that, I'll be passing it over to Arlen to wrap up, a majority of what we've talked about today.
Yeah. Thanks, Nelson. And we have one more video. that we want to share from one of our alumni, Rafael Lopez, about the importance of agency.
I think it's important that students find a voice and their voice on a range of issues, because it is in the practice of leadership that one hones those skills. I deeply believe that everyone has the ability to lead, that everyone has in them the ability to do amazing things in this world, that every single person has the ability to create and innovate and to explore things that we have yet to even imagine. And that can happen without the experiences that SOMECA programs provide. It provides the foundation, the legitimacy, and the space in which to explore and, quite frankly, to make mistakes and to fail. And if you can't make mistakes and fail amongst friends and people who care about you, then with whom can you make those mistakes? While I was at UCSC, I was a part of several organizations, chief among them MECHA. I was active in MECHA. I was active in the Multicultural Festival. I was active, in a number of organizations, and also co-chaired the Chicano Latino graduation ceremony. I often think if I could go back and do it all over again, what would I do differently? And in some ways, the answer to that as I sort of get older is probably nothing differently, because it's all of those amazing opportunities and those amazing mistakes that have shaped the person that I am today. The nation's most renewable resource is its human capital, it's people. Investing in people's leadership development is what actually is going to make us stronger as a nation. It's going to make us stronger as global citizens, and it's going to make us stronger as citizens of the university that is UCSC. When I think about the importance of SOMECA programs, I think a lot about just self-agency and the ability to make choices. And if we think about sort of the founding of this country is founded on the belief that people have the ability to declare themselves independent. And it has been the legacy of this country, generation after generation, to fulfill that promise, to fulfill the promise that we've seen in the founding documents of this country. And when I think about SOMECA programs, I think about there's a parallel to that, which is that not every student is going to learn simply by reading a text and writing a paper or taking a test. It's the combination of the experiences in the classroom and outside of the classroom.
SOMECA and student organizations are just one of the places that students can get involved with campus and student life. For more information about our office, student organizations, and other spaces that students can get involved in, you can visit our new website at getinvolved.ucsc.edu. And with that, I'll invite the rest of my team to come back up, because now we are transitioning to Q&A.
Thank you all so much, SOMECA. I always love getting to see these presentations and hear firsthand testimonies from the students that y'all get to engage with. It's such inspiring work that you all do. And I have the privilege of being able to actually see that journey that students go through on their 3, 4, 5-year journey at UC Santa Cruz, and watching the impact that y'all have on students. So thank you again for the work that you all do, as well as for coming here today and sharing that with all of us. We're going to move now into a question and answer section of our program. So this is an opportunity for folks, if you haven't, if you want to submit some questions into the chat, and we will be happy to sort of engage you in those. We've got some questions that came in ahead of time that we're going to tackle. So I'll wait a second and get those kicked off here. If you need a minute to think about those, go ahead and take that. So a few of the questions that came on already. Will the video be online? Yes, the video will be online. The webinar will be online. And then there was someone who wanted to hear a little bit more about Greek life and fraternities. So SOMECA, if you'd be willing to share a little bit more, maybe expand a little bit more on that, I think that would be helpful information for the folks that are here today.
Yeah, so with our Greek life, as Nelson was sharing in our numbers, we have 20 different Greek letter organizations, Two of them technically are our governing councils, so with our College Panhellenic Council as well as our Inter-Greek Council. But overall, we have 18 different kinds of Greek letter organizations, ranging from those that are Panhellenic, that are for our traditional social like experience. There is also, we have some pre-professional Greek letter organizations as well. One of the unique things that we also have within our Greek life is also we have local Greek letter organizations. So these are ones that can only be found at UCSC. And so they have a unique history too with our campus as well as with the overall Santa Cruz community. Our Greek life, our Greek letter organizations will also be present at Cornucopia. That's in about a few weeks. So on that Monday of September 22nd, a lot of them are going to be doing their fall recruitment throughout like weeks 1 and 2. But Cornucopia would be a great way for your student to be able to connect with them, to learn more about like what they stand for, what the different pillars and principles and values, as well as like the kind of recruitment events that they're hosting throughout fall. For a lot of them, they also recruit throughout the year too. So if your student may not be ready to join Greek life quite yet, that's perfectly fine because a lot of our chapters also recruit in winter quarter or even spring quarter.
Thanks so much, Arlen. Fantastic. Thanks so much, Arlen. Appreciate y'all. One of the other questions that came in is where can students go to learn more, get involved with SOAR Someka, and specifically how a student will be exposed to Someka and SOAR. I know you covered the website. I know you talked about Cornucopia, but maybe if there's anything more that you all want to share about ways that you all engage folks specifically during perhaps like, the fall of the academic year so that students can get exposed to sort of some of the programs and events that you all are doing, if you want to cover that in any kind of way.
I'll invite Jordy to speak on this and maybe Nelson. Just given that there are also some things that are in the works too for fall.
Yeah. I mean, what came to mind is that I know many of the student leaders right now are developing and coordinating different other opportunities that will go throughout the whole fall quarter into October. So some of those and dates to be announced are going to be things like an open house where they get to meet other student organization leaders. So it also just doesn't feel like Nelson spoke to earlier, I miss Cornucopia. I miss my opportunity to go to one of those tables and learn more. So they will expand on that later on. And then they're also going to be hosting other events such as kind of like a variety show so that folks can also hear performances from different student spaces that do a little bit more of that focus to pull in people that might be interested into that. And then culminating into a conference later on this quarter. So those are other things that if you follow our website, follow our social media, those things will continue to get advertised. They're solidifying some of those details right now. And beyond that, also, many of the organizations have regular meetings throughout the quarters, and each week as well. Many are weekly. So if folks sometimes like contact them, look at their social media, if they miss them at Cornucopia, they can still jump in at any time. We see sometimes people join student organizations like halfway into the year. There was something that kept them nervous from coming in because we see a lot of people coming shy, and sometimes it's having someone else that can be like, let's just go together. But if they do feel really shy, it doesn't matter when they join. So for many of the organizations.
Yeah.
And yeah, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I also want to highlight that our orgs are also in the process of re-registering with our office to be like a recognized student organization. And so on the Get Involved website, we'll be updating that website. I believe with our website team, we talked about like I don't know if it's every day versus like every 2 days, let alone like every week, that as orgs re-register with our office, that list of orgs will be updated, which will contain, of course, like who they are, like what they're about, as well as like how to like contact them. And so, again, like as we've been emphasizing, if folks happen to miss Cornucopia, there are plenty of different ways that our orgs are making themselves like known and out there, because they too are very eager to connect with your students too. That often a piece that we share with them is that their future leadership is in their membership. And so they're really excited to really connect and further build community with your students this year.
Thank y'all so much. We had a question that came in specifically about perhaps a neurodiverse student or families who support neurodiverse students who may struggle with crowds or large programs. And so I'm going to kick it off a little bit here, and then I'll invite you all to share whatever else you may like to about that. But one of the things that I've grown to really appreciate about the approach that SOMECA and quite frankly, all of the student affairs and support staff that we work with here at UC Santa Cruz is that we really do our best attempts to meet every single student where they're at to the best of our ability. So if that means reaching out to that student, if that student feels more comfortable reaching out over email and having a one-on-one conversation at first to get connected to a specific staff member in the office, or maybe just to one or two student leaders, and to sort of talk through things that way, we certainly don't want to suggest that the only way that students can be involved is by going to big crowded events, because we know that doesn't meet everyone where they're at. So we always make it our goal to meet folks where they're at. So that's definitely one of the ways, is if they reach out to any of the staff and want to just connect more on an individual level, or connect with just a small group of students or one or two student leaders, that's definitely a way they can do it. There's also a lot of hybrid programs that take place on campus, and that I think that we've really expanded upon and polished up since the days of the lockdown. So if being in person and in crowds isn't your thing, there are so many programs and events that actually offer hybrid versions. But I will offer up a little bit more information perhaps in the chat about our Disability Resource Center and the different programs and support services they provide. But I want to turn it over to y'all and SOMECA too, if you have anything to expand upon about what I shared.
Yeah, I definitely think with that, like, they can always like stop by to our office, like particularly with the SOAR office would probably be the best bet, because then we can help connect and like really understand as to like what are the different kinds of spaces that like your student is looking to be connected with. And it could be even like facilitated like through like even our peer advisors, or even to like our pro staff here. Or even like for us to help set up and connecting them with key student leaders that we know, of the ones that they are also interested in doing. So we can help facilitate that connection with your student to those orgs as well.
Fantastic, fantastic. There was a question that came in a little bit more specifically, if a student wanted to create a club or organization, if they had an idea for a club or organization, what that looked like. And I happen to know that you all have an award-winning model in SOMECA for how you kind of navigate clubs and organizations and support. So would love if you could maybe share a little bit more about, I know they can find that information on the Get Involved website, but perhaps share a little bit more about here with everyone what the steps would look like for a student to try to initiate a student club organization, and what that process looks like on y'all's end.
Yeah, to start a new organization. So that process will begin on October 20th. That's because it's to help give us time as an office to help re-register our continuing organizations. And when that process kicks off, we have them fill out an intake questionnaire to get a better sense as to like what's the organization that they're trying to start, like how are they thinking about the programs or activities, or even like who the audience that they want to cater to. But really that intake questionnaire helps supports us in really best assessing, like, are we the best office to help support them in starting that organization, or are they better suited for a different campus partners? There have been times where some folks are looking to start a more like physical or even like a sports club, which would actually be more suited with our campus partners over at Athletics and Recreation, or say that it might be more of an engineering focus. Baskin Engineering also sponsors student organizations too. But essentially with that process, we want to better understand as to the org that they're looking to create and host, as well as, are we the best fit? Can we provide that best support? Typically, to start an organization, they would need to have at least 4 UCSC students in order to be a recognized group, as well as having a constitution for that. But With my colleagues on the call, Nelson, Jordy, or Steph, are there any other things I might be missing when it comes to new orgs as well? Because it's been a minute since we've connected with new orgs too. But if there's nothing else, oh, Jordy, it looked like you wanted to add.
I just wanted to say, yeah, I think you touched on some of the central pieces, and that's definitely something that uh we do a lot of engagement with the students coming in as they're doing things. So if they have questions, that's definitely where they want to reach out to talk to someone or one of our student staff as well.
Yeah. Yeah, because they can also definitely stop by too to help better develop their idea for an organization too, because I know we've been getting inquiries throughout summer, and we have posed like different considerations for them, or even as they're trying to develop their idea, their organization, because we definitely want them to be successful and to succeed. We wouldn't want their organization to start out in one year and then it completely goes inactive the following year. And so we're really invested in supporting the longevity and the sustainability of our organizations at UCSC because we know it adds a lot to the student experience.
Certainly does. Certainly does. Thank you so much, y'all. Thank you, Arlen and Jordy. Kind of a question come in about clubs and organizations for around religion and spirituality, religious clubs and organizations, spiritual clubs and organizations. I'm going to kick it off to y'all because I know that you all advise a number of officially recognized clubs and organizations around religion and spirituality. I also want to make sure to mention to folks here, I actually serve as the advisor to something called the University Interfaith Council on campus, which is comprised of both student, staff, and community members. Who support students, either whether it's student members or staff members from officially recognized clubs and organizations, but also community members that are part of local churches, temples, mosques, and religious and spiritual organizations, because we recognize that spiritual life and the ability to practice your religion is a part of the overall holistic experience that students have. It's part of their well-being. It's part of their mental health for many students. And we take that seriously, even as a public institution. Student development and supporting the whole student is means for some students and for many students having the ability to support them around religion and spirituality. So the University Interfaith Council is one space that does that. And again, that's comprised of community members that are out in the local Santa Cruz community that aren't officially affiliated with campus outside of the University Interfaith Council, but that have opportunities for students to engage with religious and spiritual life off campus, as well as some students and staff that support students on campus that are part of officially recognized spiritual and religious organizations. And we also do have a reflection center on campus, which serves as an all faith or no faith reflection meditation center for students who need a space to practice in whatever ways they see fit. So I'll turn it over to y'all and Sameka to talk a little bit more about the work that you all do with religious and spiritual life, but just want to make sure I mentioned that as well.
Yeah, thank you, Travis. I mean, I think you covered definitely a lot of pieces that were how we support our religious and faith-based organizations. I think the only new piece I would add is that they actually tend to be the ones that we see first in re-registering as student organizations. And so they really want to like hit the ground running and to really engage like their respective like communities as well. And so we're going to see a handful of them in the next few weeks of being active again, of holding space, of prayer, of practice, because they're the ones that tend to want to reserve spaces soon enough for their own programming as well. So there is a wide variety as well across the different faiths that we see.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much. We had a question come in about counseling and support services for students. So I can touch on this very briefly, and then I'll invite some of our facilitators to share the link in the chat for CAPS, which is our Counseling and Psychological Services Center here on campus, which is part of our Student Health and Wellness Center at UC Santa Cruz, which provides counseling and psychological support services to students, whether that be through talk therapy, whether that be through meeting us with a psychiatrist, whether they have the UC CHIP insurance or another insurance, being able to have access to mental health medication that helps support them in their journey as a student at UC Santa Cruz. That is absolutely something that we have resources for, and there's incredible work that goes on over in our Student Health and Wellness Center at UC Santa Cruz to support students, because again, we recognize that mental health and well-being, psychological health and well-being is an important part of the overall experience that students have on their journey to student success. And for many students, part of being successful and being able to be successful means having access to those services. So we do have our CAPS Center, which is CAPS Counseling and Psychological Services Center, which is under our Student Health and Wellness Center. So I'll invite one of our hosts to share that link in the chat for folks so they could see that, but wanted to mention that here. Okay. We have another question that came in about social events for students that facilitate connection and fun, especially in lieu of things that folks may have read about. I imagine for some parents reading about for their students coming to Santa Cruz, this person in their question specifically mentioned some of the other events that are not campus sanctioned. I'll leave it at that. So maybe talk a little bit more about y'all's approach to large-scale events, multicultural fest, things like that, where students have opportunities to engage and have fun and be able to interact with one another socially, that are campus sanctioned.
I want to invite Steph to kind of speak about on the EnviroSlug piece, especially about Earth Summit, because that might actually be a good one to share.
Yeah, so EnviroSlug holds yearly Earth Summits, which is an organization put on by EnviroSlug where our students coming together. It is the biggest event held by EnviroSlug yearly. This is one of the social events, an example of social events that SOMECA sponsors. There are many that go on throughout the whole school year. Yes, sorry if I'm missing anything.
Okay. I mean, it's also like the focus on Earth Summit, right? About like being able to engage the campus community, even specifically too about how do we promote like zero waste, but also building community around like the climate crisis and whatnot. Other pieces to add, like with our organizations too. I mean, as Nelson was sharing, like with our numbers, there's so many events and programs that do take place that a lot of the student leaders that we work with are planning for months in advance for their big annual events. So whether ones that we see as their like theater productions over at Main Stage that really help showcase like their like story, their experience, to even ones that might be for their own professional development, like with some of our groups, like hosting like their own like conference or professional development workshops for their particular community or like even academic focus. But we are never not busy throughout this school year, that orgs are always planning something. And that really, I think the best practice too for your students is like once you find orgs that they're interested in, like whether at Cornucopia or as they look through the Get Involved website and as they see orgs like re-register, it's for them to also follow on their Instagram too, because Instagram has been like one of the main ways that our groups have been really advertising their programs and events. Some folks still use like flyers and posters on the different bulletin boards throughout like the bus stops and throughout campus too. But there's never a week that is not busy. Although technically finals week each quarter, like, you know, that there wouldn't be a lot of programming besides like having study jams, but there's always something to do at our campus.
There really, really is. And it's one of the most beautiful campuses, I believe, in the country to do something at. I know I feel privileged to be on campus when I'm working there. Even just taking a walk 5 minutes outside of my office, I feel like I'm just immersed in some of the most beautiful coastal scenery that exists. And so it's a beautiful place to be immersed in. And there's always, always, always something going on. We had a question that came in the chat about will there be shuttle services to the Boardwalk Frolic? The answer is yes, and I'm going to invite one of my co-hosts or peers that's in the chat to facilitate. If you want to, there's information on that I believe if it's not there yet, it's either forthcoming or will be there soon about where the pickups and drop-offs for the shuttles will be. But the answer is yes. There are shuttle services to the Boardwalk Frolic that run throughout that program, so that students are able to get there get there safely. So I wanted to share that. And then I'm going to invite Sameka to share a little bit more on the back end of this answer, but we had a question come in about advice for transfer students on getting involved. So one of the things that you all may have heard me cover at the top of the section that I went over was our STARS office, which is an office that does incredible work and is specifically designed to meet students where they're at. STARS stands for Student Services for Transfer and Reentry students. Again, they support a lot of our transfer, reentry students, military affiliated family students, our veteran students. But specifically for transfer students, again, I think that office in particular is really rooted in an ethic of care that's designed to support transfer students and get them, and certainly one of those aspects is getting them connected on campus and getting involved. Personally, I will also just say that I was a transfer student many years ago. And I think the advice that I always offer to transfer students is that sometimes you feel a pressure because your time may feel more limited than some students who come in on their first year. But not to give in to that pressure. You have time, and especially at a campus like UC Santa Cruz, where there's such a rich volume of ways to get involved and ways to get connected. Get yourself settled first, get settled into your academics, and then when you're ready, without feeling pressure, when you're ready, go ahead and start making those connections. But if my friends at Sameka care to chat a little bit more about that, or ways that maybe you all connect with either STARS and or just ways that you find yourself connecting with transfer students.
Yeah, I guess adding on to those pieces that you touched on, because for many of the transfer students I've worked with, they've shared that they felt that pressure that they needed to get involved right away, or connect with the space. And while that could be good, depending on what they're looking to get out of their time here, there definitely isn't that expectation. Like I shared earlier, there's different moments that folks can come into the spaces. They could wait, I want to see a little bit how I adjust in fall, and then uh, join more, get involved more at a different capacity in the winter quarter. So, but with all that said, I think it's definitely with doing some sort of communication, even if they just want to get the initial sense of what does this space have to provide me, through reaching out through SOAR and asking about a specific organization. That's always a helpful way to start off so that they can assess. But I also add, because I've seen some people, some of the transfer students that come in, is like, I need to get involved with all of these spaces. And then they jump in and then they realize they can't put the attention to all of the different ones. So maybe, let's just check out one or two, see how you feel about that. And I know some of our students are also very involved with STARS, and so I'd even suggest, like Charles was saying, STARS is also a good spot to begin with. While they're one of the centers for transfer students, they're also not the only place. So again, there's different ways that they can just start off by just even doing an initial email communication. Anything else any of my colleagues want to share about that, or the transfer students you've worked with?
I think the only other piece I would add is that even with some of the student organizations I've been meeting over the summer, they want to connect with transfer students. Like, they're very eager and also very mindful that knowing that their experience is going to be different than what we may see from like our incoming first years. And they want to be attentive to that because they can understand and empathize with that unique challenge coming in at a very different time. And so just, if anything, to help reassure you all that a good handful of our orgs are also eager to really create that supportive environment for our transfer students.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to start to wind us down now as we reach the last couple of minutes of the presentation. And first and foremost, again, want to thank all of you folks being here, all of the families, maybe students, and guardians and supportive members of future Banana Slugs, soon to be Banana Slugs, who are joining us today. Thank you so much for taking time out of what I'm sure busy days to join us. I also want to give just the absolute hugest shout out to Sameka and the Sameka team here. As I'm sure everybody on this webinar has seen, they do absolutely incredible work with students, award-winning work with students, as I mentioned, and have an incredible way of approaching that work. And really, as you heard in the presentation that they gave, really having giving students a sense of agency and being a real spot that can be a transformative leadership space for students to go out and make change in the world. So I want to open it up very, very quickly. Sameka, if you all have any last words, there's one last question that I'm going to answer and then kick it over to Garrett to actually finish answering after that and let him close us out. But want to open it up for y'all if y'all have any last words to say or anything else that you want to share with families before we close out.
I think if anything, all of us from Sameka are actually alumni. We've actually been deeply involved in our own respective student organizations and have been student leaders. And I think I'll speak for myself, but I can imagine everyone else too on the call that being a part of student organizations and being a student leader and serving my community has been one of the more transformative experiences that I've had at UCSC. And it's one that I continue to pay it forward in serving our students and our organizations too. And so our team deeply cares about our student organizations and what they bring to this campus. And so if your students are interested and have capacity and want to get involved, they're going to be in the right place.
They certainly are. Thank you so much to the Sameka team again. And I'm going to start to mic down now. We had a summary of the few questions that came in were really about continuing to ask, like, what can parents do to encourage their students to get involved? So I actually want to invite back our Associate Vice Chancellor and Dean of Students, Garrett Naiman, to share some closing remarks. And Garrett, maybe if you want to share any tips on what parents can do. I honestly think, especially now, all of the campus websites are so new and exciting, and you saw some of the Sameka media today. I think just sitting down and looking through some of the social media pages for some of the campus engagement offices like Sameka and looking at the websites is one way to get people excited. But I want to thank you all for your time today. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Garrett, to close us out. And maybe if you have any words to share about that as you do so, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you, Travis. Thank you, Travis. As usual, you read my mind. I was going to close out with some sentiment. We did get a lot of questions about, any final wisdom on how you might talk to your students about getting involved. I think you heard a lot of good wisdom. Thank you, Travis. And thank you to the Sameka team for all your wonderful thoughts and wisdom and sharing everything. My best advice is that first welcome week is really important. Encourage them to get out to those events. They're also really great events because there's no commitment to them. There are a lot of events where they just can go and move around and meet people or not meet people. So it's a kind of a no pressure environment to get exposed to everything. Also, students that are going to be living in residence halls, a lot of times that's where you find your people. And so maybe you don't know how to get involved, but you're starting to connect with people and you see where they're going and what are they doing today, and join them for an event if you haven't figured out which event you want to go to. So I think a lot of it is that. And students who live in the residence halls will also have RAs, residence assistants, who are peer leaders, who are a wealth of information about what's going on and ways to get involved, and even ready to have conversations with students who might be struggling to do so. What I hope that you took away from tonight's presentation is a couple of key things. One is there are an incredible, diverse amount of ways for your students to get involved up on this city on the hill that we have up here at beautiful UC Santa Cruz. And if a student is interested in something, we have it. And as was said, on the off chance that we don't, they can create it and get with other students and do so. And the other thing that I think I hope that you take away tonight is that you saw just a small sample of our very, very dedicated staff in the Division of Student Affairs and Success on campus. There are 800 more staff members that care just as deeply about students in our division. And outside of that, there are all the staff and all the faculty around campus, as well as all the student leaders that are here ready to welcome your students and connect with them and help them in their transition to this really amazing milestone. So thank you for being here tonight. If your question did not go answered for some reason, we tried our best. I think we got to everybody. Or you simply want to reach out at some point because you're looking to find out some more information, you'd be very welcome to email me and my office at deanofstudents@ucsc.edu. We'd be happy to connect with you vis-a-vis that email. Otherwise, we hope to see many of you at Move-In, many of you at the family send-off, and many of you at Family Weekend. Go Slugs.